Hello again, everybody. So, for anyone that is who caught up with my latest, with my live stream earlier, I was just following Matthew Holbert over on. I was just following Matthew Holbert. Oh dear. I was just following again Matthew Holbert over at on good old X, formerly known as Twitter. And I've decided, and he's just told me that they're now going to do the Lib Dem rally, and it's a packed audience. It looks like you could see there. I've just taken a still from. I've just paused there because I think that's where the Lib Dem rally is starting. And I just thought, why not? Why, let's actually go back. Let's see what this excitement's all about, eh? Um, so yeah, that's what I'm currently doing right now. Let me just yeah. There we go. Get everything set up. So I'm just going to do a social media push. I'm going to push my social media now. I'm going to just say that I'm back online. So let me just find I tend to Windows, you don't like emojis. You go all weird with me. Come on. Right. Okay. Right. Part 2 conference reaction. Part live right now. So conference reaction. I am back again over on Yellow Rebel to now cover the excitement that is the Lib Dem rally. Looks like a packed audience. Looks like a packed audience. So, right. Let's go and find. Let's go get a link. So here we go. This is the link that I need. Lovely jubbly. Okay. Does not like emojis for some reason. Right. There we go. So I've just done that. Alerted my followers. So, right. So not too long ago, I've just finished. I finished doing a live. I finished doing a live stream regarding me watching. It was less a live reaction of the live conference. It was more me sort of finding moments in the video and giving my own kind of honest assessment, my own thoughts, etc. So just pausing and stopping and just giving my own thoughts and feelings and feedback, since I sadly can't attend conference this year. But what's inspired me, what's motivated me to do a part 2, let's say part 2 of day 1's conference, is that over on good old Twitter /X, Matthew Holbert is sent a picture, as you can see. with a packed audience there. Like it's looking a lot more packed, a lot more, a lot more, uh, a better sea of people, and apparently it's a rally. Now, is this going to live up to my expectations? So he's calling it a rally. Now, I would be very curious, very, very, very curious indeed, what this rally will actually entail. Is it going to be? Is it going to be? Is it going to be conference songs? Is it going to be big speeches? I don't know. I've never been to conference, and I've never really, apart from finding stuff on YouTube, finding clips on YouTube, I've never actually. I don't know what this rally will actually entail. So I'd be very curious to know what that will be. So without further ado, I think let's just hit the play and see what this is all about, eh? Yeah. Oh, hide that. Now, hopefully, you should get some sound. It's a little bit. Oh, apparently, it's on max. Apparently, it's on max. Right. Let's just have a goosey. Well, that is hmm. Now, is that getting any sound? I do wonder. I do wonder. Let's just go on my phone. Now, is that getting Let's skip forward a bit. It sounds like there is sound coming out of that. So
local ice cream you could want to have. Thank you. Who was that? Thank you very much. Or maybe you could head to the end of the pier and try out the zip line back to the beach. And before you ask, no, that is not Ed's next stunt. This last year has been another one of successes, with the May elections seeing a raft of counties going gold. Shropshire.
there we go. Right, there we go. Right, so now that I know that's working, I think I can resume. So, I don't know this lady. I don't know who she is. So maybe we should start around. I mean, I'm absolutely. Oh, this looks interesting. I'm absolutely loving the colours. Absolutely loving the colours. I've always enjoyed the. I know this just sounds really specific, but I've always enjoyed the Lib Dem branding and the Lib Dem colours. I always find them like I don't know. There's just they just seem to the softer colours. They just seem to do a lot more interesting things with colours. It's not just slap bang, all yellow orange branding. They actually do, they do things a little bit more interesting. So yeah, I'm quite excited about this. But let's so oh. I was expecting some kind of, oh, Vicky Slade. So Vicky Slade, I think, is going to open this floor, this rally, I should say.
Good evening.
Okay. Okay, that was a little bit anticlimactic. I don't know if it was to do with the sound production because it was a bit quiet and I thought it was my end, but it seems like it was more on their end. maybe you have to be in the at conference. Maybe you have to be at conference floor to felt the energy. But it did seem a little bit. The energy just seemed a little bit off, really. Don't know. And the song choice as well. Like I couldn't even hear what the song was. But I thought when I first paused it, that was going to be the moment where it was the climax, and it's going to have, let's get ready to rumble, kind of music. But it's so British, isn't it? It's so British, we don't do American style, conventions. It's not loud, it's not big. It's a lot more subdued British political conferences. I suppose because in America, they're so less regular. Like in America, they don't really do regular conferences or conventions, as you might say. It's normally during just presidential election time. Whereas in the UK, and I want to say for most of Europe as well, but particularly I can speak for the UK, conferences are a time in which members could inform policy decisions. It's a chance for conference to speak to local councillors or mayors and just get together to sort of feel the mood of the party's developments. Whereas America, a lot of it is banked on the presidential victor from either party. So I suppose that's probably why they don't do very regular style conventions. But anyway, I'll carry on. Let's see. But yeah, it's so British. It's so, her entrance, it was so kind of, it felt so British to me, very subdued, kind of chaotic, and yeah.
Good evening, conference, and welcome to Bournemouth for our autumn conference. I am so excited to welcome you back to what is obviously my favourite location. I would say that I only live a few miles up the road, and so I'm going back to my own bed tonight. If you get a moment this weekend, I would encourage you to take part in the obvious all-time favourite thing to do in Bournemouth, and that is to feel the sand between your toes, because Brighton can't offer you that.
Which, on my first live stream earlier, I accidentally first called it Brighton. So apologies, Bournemouth. I did accidentally call you Brighton. But no, it's true. So for international audiences, we have so Bournemouth and Brighton are British seaside towns in the south coast of the UK, and both beautiful, popular holiday destinations or mini breaks or day trips, whatever. And both beautiful seaside towns, with their own kind of charms and appeal. But Brighton, its beach is completely pebbled and stoned and pebbled. It has no sand, pretty much. I think it's just not had the natural erosion. I mean, I don't know. I actually don't know much about the history of Brighton. I don't know if it was deliberate, or what. But yeah, so Brighton's famous for having stoned, rather not being a beach, sanded beaches. It's famous for having these hard stones and pebbles. But yeah, anyway, so good joke.
Or grab a local ice cream and perhaps help us judge which one is better, Purbeck or New Forest. We have two of the best local ice creams you could want to have. Thank you. Who was that? Thank you very much. Or maybe you could head to the end of the pier and try out the zip line back to the beach. And before you ask, no, that is not Ed's next stunt. This last year has been another one.
Oh, so already we're cracking the Ed Davies stunt jokes. I mean, the thing is, if you're drawing attention that they're a bit of a joke, I think, yeah. And actually, Ed Davey, he's not been doing much of the stunts anymore. Anything he has been doing, what you can consider stunts or having a laugh or being jokey, it's been on X with having picking fights with Elon Musk. If anything, and some people argue he's been a bit juvenile with that, but yeah, I would have probably left out.
With the May elections seeing a raft of counties going gold.
And I don't blame her, because it's a tough crowd. It's a tough crowd when you're leading on your. It's a tough job when you're basically leading on. You're introducing the rally, or rally. I don't know what Matthew. You need to explain to me what a rally is. I'm not understanding this. Maybe I need to watch more of it to get it. But it's the jokes are always going to be a bit rubbish, aren't they? Come on, but yeah.
Shropshire, Oxfordshire, Cambridgeshire.
I just wish they didn't need to do this. I don't think they need to do this, really, because you're not there to. I mean, I'm watching it because I'm a Lib Dem member, but you're not there to, crack jokes. It's not a stand-up routine. I'm being too hard.
All became Liberal Democrat majority councils with massive gains in Devon, Cornwall, Wiltshire, and Buckinghamshire too. But the closest win to here, less than 1 mile away, happened just last week, which was one very close to my heart. The former Conservative leader of the council here in Bournemouth resigned over the summer. Way too many Lib Dems here for him, so he's buggered off to Dubai. And I'm delighted to say that Liberal Democrat Dawn Logan won his seat. She's stewarding here today, so give Dawn a wave. And we push the Tories.
Well, that's brutal, isn't it, guys? You pull such a strop, but you have to fly to Dubai. I'm sure that was the reason he left the UK and went to Dubai, not for tax reasons. No. But well done.
Third place. Now, most people know that the parliamentary estate is a complete maze. And despite being an MP for over a year now, and I'm sure some people are going to recognise this, it's really common for us to get utterly lost, especially like me when you're normally running late. One day, I decided to try a new route around the conference, around the estate to get to a meeting. And I popped out of a door to find myself behind a statue, only to find the TV reporter right in front trying to film a piece of the news. So just a little bit awkward. Another bizarre thing about Parliament is, of course, there aren't actually enough seats for all of the MPs in the chamber. That means that we have to often sit in front.
That's true. Like Parliament, there's actually a few myths in that. A lot of people think the Parliament building, Westminster Palace. A lot of people think, oh, it dates from the medieval times. It's ancient. It's old. It's got a real, deep-rooted medieval history. No, it's been set on fire. It's been bombed, and it was bombed during the war in World War II. I think Parliament had to evacuate. I think. Now, I don't know if there was a parliamentary session at the time, or if Parliament was in recess, or if they just decided not to have debates in Parliament. I imagine they probably still did, because they didn't have the privilege of like under COVID, when the advantages of Parliament is that if Parliament it's the place where laws get debated. It's protocol. It's part of our unwritten constitution that we debate and vote, and our MPs vote on legislation in that building, and that's why we have parliamentary privilege as well, because as long as they are saying it within the confines and within the bricks and walls in Westminster, then they get parliamentary privilege, which is why they can't get sued by the press and stuff like that. And a lot of people have used that as a way to whistleblow, to act as whistleblowers, and with the in confidence that they won't get there won't be any libel cases or and stuff like that. But no, there's a myth about Westminster, the building, as in the physical building of Westminster. It's actually not that old a building. It's been renovated to complement the what it would have looked like of medieval times. But then it's been expanded. It's had they've expanded it, and also, and linking back to not there being enough seats. Again, it was done at a time when Parliament was a lot smaller, because obviously our population was a lot smaller back then. And I don't think they had the foresight to consider the size of Parliament and consider that populations and boundaries will change. But interesting enough, this isn't now you'd think with the population increase, that means that we must have seen an increase in the number of seats. No, the House of Commons seats tally peaked at 659, and that was in the 1997 election, and I think in 2001. But then since then, 650 has been the magic number. But despite our population and by convention, our constituency the population increases, we've not actually seen an increase of that in terms of new seats or boundaries being made. Now, you think really, the population has increased, then surely to make it a bit, this is why we need PR guys, but under a first past the post system, you think, if the population increases, that means you should have a new MP, and new boundaries are made, so that MP is only answerable to a small population size. But no, it's not. It's decreased more than anything. But oh God, I don't know if you can hear that, guys, but there's really heavy rain going on here. But no, she's right. That's. But I don't think we had the foresight to have that considered. Anyway, but that was more like a bit of a history lesson there. But no, Parliament's actually not. The building itself isn't that old. It's a lot of it's just reconstruction, and just reconstruction, and yeah.
To the side of and behind the Reform MPs, when they bother to turn up, of course. Actually, is there still 5 of them? Because it was 5, then it was 4, and now it's back up to 5. Anyway, I'm losing track of who's just joined and who they've thrown out. But anyway, the point is, my daughter was telling me that there was a meme going around her university of me and a number of other Lib Dems, which remain nameless, expressions every time they said something outrageous. So when they say that...
Yeah, Ed Davey's been recently using memes to challenge Elon Musk. If you follow X or Twitter, because Elon Musk called our leader Ed a snivelling coward, and Ed Davey, in a wonderful reply, sent a meme of SpongeBob SquarePants of all things, and did various caps locks and lowercases, saying, "No, you're a coward." To that degree. Now, is it the politics I want to see? Not really, but it can be fun sometimes. It can be fun. It can be witty. It can be creative. And sadly, that's the age we live in. We live in an age of memes, and some people are a bit more impressionable about on how good your memes are.
We aren't cutting through. Perhaps lessons in eyebrow movements are the way to go to cut through to the TikTok generation. And what about the Conservatives? Remember that time in June this year when Kemi told us that she was getting better and better each week? Do you remember that? That sort of now feels like a high point, bearing in mind that, you know, they've lost an MP last week. Oh, and they also lost Surrey in the summer. I repeat that, they lost Surrey! So, conference, what about next year?
They lost Surrey!
As we take the rest of the government's legislation through. And for the next couple of months, I will personally be wading through 336 pages of the devolution bill for my sins. But from a practical perspective, one of the challenges, particularly for us women MPs, is mastering the art of having your shoes in the right place. Because with one very famous exception on the front row, most of us aren't allowed to wear trainers, and we have to make sure we're sitting on a back row so the speaker doesn't notice us. So that's my challenge for the next year. But it's not just me who's been finding my way in a new job. I'm going to show you a video in a moment of a few of our friends and see what they've thought of the last year and what's coming up for them in the next.
Aiming to make this change for years, and today Britain will.
So I've just skipped ahead there because the sound quality is a bit everywhere. I'm not going to lie. I couldn't hear anything from the promotional video. So let's just skip forward to a bit. So we've now got next Danny Chambers. It wouldn't be politics if you haven't got an MP that is in complete love of his dog. That's a beautiful dog. I'm not going to lie.
I'd love to think that applause was for me, but we know that was definitely for Todd. And I'll tell you what.
No, mine was for you. Mine was for you. No, Todd. No, I like Todd. No, Todd doesn't beat Jenny though. Like, for people that don't know, Jenny is a guide dog for one of our MPs who has a visual. I think he has a visual impairment. He's very, very short-sighted, so he has a guide dog, and Jenny is just much loved in the party, and recently crossed the floor by accident. It ended up going on it ended up taking their owner to the Labour benches. So that was quite funny.
Just as well, Todd doesn't know I'm a VET.
So Todd, this is Todd, the dog.
Otherwise,
not the MP.
He'd be out of here quicker than.
Unless the MP's named Todd, that'd be. I'm
Lee
pretty sure
Anderson,
his name wasn't
when he
Todd.
sees a avocado on toast.
That'd be weird to name your pet after yourself. That'd be a little bit.
So when choosing what to bring forward for my private member's bill, I knew I'd only have one chance to change the law, and I wanted to do something that would make a real difference. And there were a few things on my mind that I could have gone with. And so I turned to one of my trusted parliamentary colleagues for her advice.
There we go. There's Jenny. There we go. It's very pantomime. I'm not gonna lie. It's very pantomime-y. I don't know. Like, it seems a lot more chillax. It seems a lot more chill, a lot more fun. Like, it's very dad humor. It's got Ed Davies' fingerprints written all over it. It's very dad humor. I'll be honest. More fun and down to earth and reforms.
And Jenny reminded me that every year.
No karaoke, please. Please do not. No one in the Lib Dem start singing. Please do
thousands
not start
of puppies
singing.
and kittens are taken
Please.
from their mothers.
I don't care how good a singer you are. Don't do it. Just don't do it. I mean, I'm already having issues with the audio for this. So you could be the best singer in the world, and if you've got a dodgy mic, or sorry, I had an ex-partner who used to be a professional singer, or he did it professionally, I should say. And he's told me about, like, you know, mic, sound, earpieces. It doesn't matter how great a singer you are. If you haven't got the equipment, you haven't got the tech, it's going to sound awful. You're just going to embarrass yourself, or it's going to be cringe, or worse, you could sound brilliant, but it's just going to be
far too young, smuggled by criminal gangs across Europe in the back of vans and sold in the UK for profit with no care for their welfare. And
so, you know, welfare, I feel like that he's been holding that dog for a long time now. Like, maybe put the dog down.
Did you know that almost half of online puppy adverts turn out to be illegally imported? And none of the
I mean, to be fair, the dog seems really chilled, and I'll be honest, this is quite a serious conversation, so I'll try
these
and
animals
listen
are
more to
tested
it.
for diseases like rabies, which is a major risk to human health too. For years, it's been illegal in the UK.
Yeah, rabies is not great. It's one of those, if you have so quick advice, guys, if you've been bitten by a dog that you know has rabies or has signs of rabies, get to A&E ASAP, because it's as close to being a zombie. It's not great. And there's no cure. There's no cure. Well, you can get treated. There is.
To
I think
crop the
there's
dog's
treatment for
ears.
it, but
That's when you cut them short into little triangle shapes to try and make them look tough. But every day,
yeah, I still see some dogs. The triangle shape, yeah, but also the ears pinned. Dobermans are not meant to have pinned ears. Most dogs don't, but Dobermans in particular are meant to have pinned ears, but a lot of them do, because it makes them more threatening. That's what he means by a triangle shape. Yeah, sorry.
still treat dogs with this cruel and painful mutilation. Well, no more, because along with my parliamentary colleagues here today, we got my puppy smuggling bill through Parliament. It was good, wasn't it? That means no more puppies smuggled into Britain.
It's like, yeah, it's good. It'd be better if you could put me down, mate. No, I didn't know. I didn't know. Is it a particular problem in the UK? I did not know. Is it a particular problem in the UK? Dog smuggling? That's news to me. That is news to me. Yeah.
And sold for profit. It means no more heavily pregnant animals trafficked hundreds of miles, and no excuse to own a dog with his ears brutally cut off. Now, vets and animal welfare organizations have been campaigning to make this change for years, and today, Britain will no longer be a market for animal cruelty. This is a victory for compassion, a victory for animal welfare, and a victory for everyone who loves their pets. And I can tell you, after years of working as a vet, this matters deeply.
Oh, he's a vet.
Because for so many people that I meet, pets are their only companion. They are.
He was giving me all creatures great and small vibes, not lying there. But no, he's a vet, so that's good. It's good that I'm glad the bill's passed, but I'm also glad that it's from basically an expert, because I think if you're ever going to draft a piece of legislation, then ideally it'd be good if you are an expert of that, or you've had enough lived experience, or you know, I don't think you don't have to be a professional expert to become an expert. I think you could, you know, be like, for example, you don't have to be a vet. You could probably have been a police officer that's seen many abuses of animals. But no, that's really good. I'm
vital
glad
for tackling loneliness, for improving mental health. They are devoted companions who enrich our lives with love and loyalty and affection. And Todd, would you like to go back to your mum, Vicky? You've been really, really good. So there you go.
So Mum Vicky, I guess, is his wife, I guess. Unless he's a dog smuggler and that isn't his dog.
As James Herriot once said, if having a soul means being able to feel love and loyalty and gratitude, then animals are better off than a lot of humans. But conference, our fight for animal welfare doesn't stop at pets. It's also about farming, about our food, about the high animal welfare standards that our farmers work so hard to uphold and that the British public are rightly proud of. And the Liberal Democrats will not see those standards sold out in a race to the bottom.
Is it top agenda, really? Is it top agenda, animal welfare? I get what I'm being a little bit facetious and pedantic, but
With dodgy trade deals with Donald Trump's administration.
Going after Trump, going after Trump. It's an interesting strategy for the Liberal Democrats, my party, going after Trump and Elon Musk, and I suppose by extension Farage. I think they're hoping to be able to pick, because there's enough opinion polls to say, because I think they are trying to target Liberal Conservatives as a general strategy, but going after Trump and Farage and Elon Musk would suggest they're trying to pick from Labour's left or progressive-minded people. But there's actually enough opinion polls that say there's about a decent chunk, either a plurality or a majority. In fact, one poll by YouGov, I think it was nearly 2/3, where they have a very negative, like conservative voters have a very negative opinion on Donald Trump. So it's a good strategy, because it's basically feeding it. It's both tagging the left and the right. Now the thing is how important that will be in 2029 when they might not. Donald Trump will most likely not be the president by then. I mean, they might not even have a Republican president in the White House. It might change to the Democrats. How big an issue that will be to help play into the 2029 general election is probably one to be decided. And but yeah, it's interesting that we've been playing that up a little bit lately.
We don't want chlorinated chicken. We don't want hormone-pumped beef. We don't want products from battery hens flooding our supermarket shelves. We want to back British farmers and defend the highest animal welfare standards in the world. I can tell you, vets are proud of those standards, farmers are proud of those standards, and so are the British public. We must not compromise them. Let's be clear. Donald Trump doesn't care about animal welfare. Donald Trump doesn't care about British farmers. And conference.
Interesting thing about Donald Trump here, he's a lot of the presidents are animal lovers, or at least they're dog lovers, and they often bring their pets into office, and they almost become like, the animal equivalent of the First Lady sometimes. But Donald Trump, I think for a long time, I don't think there's been a president of recent memory, or even probably since the turn of the 21st century, who's not had a pet in the White House, except Donald Trump, who apparently is not a big fan of pets because allegedly he's a bit of a germphobe anyway, but he's not a massive fan of animals or pets. So yeah, some truth in that. He probably doesn't care, really.
We didn't fight for years to stop puppy smuggling, just to open our doors to factory-farmed American imports. We didn't raise the bar for pet animal welfare, only to lower it for farm animals. Because this is the choice before us. It's compassion or cruelty. Standards or sellouts? British farmers or Donald Trump? Well, I know which I'd choose. I know.
That is quite an interesting one, actually. It's very green. It's a very green thing.
I know which I'd choose.
It's a very green thing, that is, to be talking up about on animal welfare. That's something you'd hear the Green Party say. Oh, you know, animal welfare and ecology and green politics and ecology have complemented each other in the past. But yeah, it's quite a...
Which you would choose. And I know what our next speaker, Tim Farron, would choose. Conference, we all know Tim is a little shy. He doesn't like speaking in front of crowds. So conference, we need to give him plenty of encouragement. Conference, please welcome to the stage the fell-running, Blackburn-supporting, sewage-busting, farmer-defending, barnstorming, speech-thundering Tim Farron!
He wasn't shy about that. I assume that's an in-joke, or it's a well-known joke that Tim Farron... I mean, I got the joke when he said doesn't like doing public... I mean, to be honest, there probably have been leaders, both in British politics and international politics, who probably don't like doing speeches. Apparently, Tony Blair didn't like doing speeches. Apparently, Tony Blair hated doing speeches at party conference, at press gatherings. He absolutely hated it. And if you actually look back at old archives and footages of Tony Blair, he's just absolutely drenched in sweat. It is nerve-wracking. It is nerve-wracking. I mean, I get nervous speaking to a crowd of like 5 people, let alone whatever the size of this is.
I suppose I better make an effort then. Look, I mean, Danny, thank you ever so much. And listening to Danny is a reminder, isn't it, that winning elections is our passport to making a difference. How dare we do anything than everything we would need to do in order to win every election that we contest. It is also a reminder, too, that the Liberal Democrats are the party of puppies. Talking of which...
Okay, the jokes are getting a bit funnier now. They are getting better. I think maybe I'm getting the vibes more. I'm just a bit more settled. I think if I was actually in conference, I'd probably enjoy it even more. But that was actually good. The party of puppies. It reminds, I watch a YouTube channel. It's called Decoding the Unknown, and you should definitely check that out. It's not to do with politics, guys. Although they did do once. Anyway, there's this writer, and he writes for the presenter / host named Simon Whistler, who does Decoding the Unknown, and he basically he was talking about the disappearance of this MP. And he basically connected the Lib Dems in this conversation by saying, and occasionally you'll get a Lib Dem who will say no to war, ending poverty, and be kind to the badgers, and now I just see now I've just got this, and I've just envisioned us being kind to animals, being kind, we're very Dr. Dolittle. Anyway, that was a tangent.
Did you?
I will say Simon Whistler. He's someone that I truly admire as a content creator and presenter, because you know what, he'll go on tangents like me, and he just doesn't care. It becomes a joke now. So I'm just like, you know what, if he can do it, he can read a script professionally. He's got that reading skill and narration, but. I like when he does his more sort of cold reads, and he gets to show his personality. And he's like me; he'll go into tangents. And it's just like, and the audience just like, what WTF?
that Donald Trump is the first US president in 70 years not...
Oh, they're really leaning in on Donald Trump. I know he's been to the state. I know he's done the he's had his state visit, and Ed Davey decided in protest against Donald Trump's inaction to do with Gaza and just taking a blind eye on whatever Israel's doing. He decided to not attend for the state banquet and meet Donald Trump. Now, you could argue that maybe that was a mistake, because really he should have gone there and basically put up a fight and challenged and Donald Trump challenged Donald Trump on his position, and used his being the leader of the third largest party to put their feet on the fire, let's say. Not that I think it would make a blind difference for Trump or international politics. Now, I think it was quite clever politics, really, because, you've seen people who protested. There's been enough opinion polls that say people don't want Trump here. Even people that agreed that it went okay, at least at least for 10 Downing Street and for the government. There are members of and some of the trade deals. There are members of the public who said, "Yeah, fine, it went fine, but we don't like the guy. Out of principle, we don't like him, and we think the UK should stick the neck out a bit, and out of principle, have not pandered him, I guess."
I just thought, why?
Pandered to him. So yeah, I think it's very clever politics. But again, he's not going to be there in 2029. Let's assuming Labour is going to do the full term. But yeah, they're really leaning in on Donald Trump here.
Own a dog. The more I learn about that guy, the more I think he might just be a wrong un. Anyway, I'm hoping that the razzmatazz of this rally allows us to keep up with the glamour of the Reform Party conference. I was glued to the screen. I'm sure you were too. It was all great fun. And to be fair, they did some commendable things. I mean, they did let...
Yeah, like how to destroy karaoke. Oh, I'm being a bit unkind, but honestly, don't do it. You could be the best singer in the world. Everyone sounds great in the shower. Even I do. Even I think, oh, I sound brilliant. I could, step back, Celine Dion, step back. Andy's in the house, but just don't do it. Everyone thinks they sound great in the shower, but even if you do sound technically great, there's sound mixing, audio, mic, even the building itself, whether they've got the walls to help reverberate the music. Just don't do it. And also, it's just a bit cringe. It's always a bit cringe. Never put music with conference. It didn't work for Theresa May, and it didn't work for at Reform Party conference. But let's see what he has to say.
Sing a song that she'd written on stage while wearing a sparkly jumpsuit. And you guys have never let me do any of those things. So, raise your game. But they also spent a lot...
I've got issues with Tim Farron because I think, I don't know where he sits on his so-called social liberalism. I think he often conflicts his religion and his politics. But he does seem like a very sound guy, very kind of humble, nice, genuine. Maybe a bit of self-confidence, but he's landing the jokes. I don't know if he's. It seems like it's if he's doing this off memory, then he's got a good brain to remember all that. But if he's written that himself, or if he's just doing it off the cuff, then good on him. Or or praise his
Part of their
writing team.
time giving a platform to people who think that the COVID vaccines gave the royal family cancer, or who are self-confessed convicted racists, and worst of all, to Lembit Opik.
Lembit Opik used to be a Liberal Democrat MP, and then he just went off the rails. He was always a bit of a joke, to be honest. Like, no one really took him seriously. He was just a bit of a joke, and I think he had his expectations and ambitions were set far too high. But God, what a massive! How'd you go from being in the Lib Dems to being in Reform UK? I could see a jump from Lib Dems to maybe the Conservatives, or Lib Dems to like moderate centrist, centre-left Labour. But I could even see the Lib Dems to the Greens. I could see some people going from Lib Dems to Greens. But Reform UK?
Now, Reform say that it doesn't mean that they agree with those people. They're just supporting freedom of speech. But if they were truly in favour of freedom of speech, why did they not let me on the stage to make the case for treating refugees like the human beings that they are? I'm not bitter, but I am going to get my own back. Don't tell anyone, but I am drawing up plans to redeploy Agent Truss. The turquoise Tories will be toast. You heard it here first. Well, indeed, like Ed, Liz was not at the palace this week, not because she was making a point of principle, but because she's busy preparing to be returned to the field. Ed didn't boycott the dinner lightly. It is an absolute honour to be invited by His Majesty to a state banquet. But when the horror and the tragedy for the people of Israel and Palestine could be ended by one phone call from Donald Trump, yet he refuses to do the right thing, then it is the right thing for Ed on our behalf to be the voice that says that the slaughter in Gaza must end, the hostages must be freed, this evil must stop.
Very biting and strong language. This evil must stop. I don't think I've heard from Lib Dem circles use that. I don't disagree. And I'm glad we've been good, like quite loud voices on a ceasefire in Gaza and recognizing the humanitarian toll that it's having. I do wish we would probably be a bit more bolder and bigger and braver than the Greens, but I think you're always going to have, there's always going to be that risk that there'll be extremists will take an opportunity to, but yeah, I'm just going to see. It mostly seems to be.
But this week, as you will have seen, Buckingham Palace was indeed festooned in red, white and blue. The Union flag and the stars and stripes, the flags that speak of our identities, and indeed all those identities forged through thick and thin over the centuries. For us, it is a flag representing four nations who, through shared affection, history and good sense, know that we are always better together. Yet in recent times, we have seen our flags become a feature of division. For us, in England, the Union flag and the St. George's flag should never be symbols of division. They should be symbols of unity, of pride, of all that we share in common. They are the equivalent of the first team shirt, complete with club badge, that we all have the right to put on and wear. One team, one flag, actually, one team and five flags, because we're British. We're a bit eccentric, and we're jolly well proud of it.
Eccentric. I'm still undecided on this. Like, I'm not sure if it's just too far gone, the flag debates, and there's just no hope of reclaiming it. And it's just one of those, you know what? Let them have it. Let them have it. I've seen good examples of people trying to reclaim the flag. There've been a few drag queens who've again diverse, not just because of their well, I really want to say sexuality. Being a drag queen, it's camp. It's usually embraced by it's part of the LGBT community. But you could be a straight dude and do drag in theory. But even then, there were black drag queens, Asian drag queens, sort of Latino, Latin American drag queens. So a lot of diversity there, and them sort of purposely trying to reclaim the flag. Well, it's both mockery. It's kind of mockery. It's kind of mockery and a playful way of getting back at them. But two, it's also there to piss them off, because associating the flag with, if you're a complete gammon who's insecure about his sexuality and can't stand our multiculturalism that we live today, or our diversity, or I guess quote unquote woke culture, then having a bunch of drag queens wrap themselves in the flag is going to obviously tick them off, really, isn't it? But yeah, but I'm undecided. I'm still undecided. Part of me kind of thinks, like Matthew Holbert, it's too far gone now. We need to just stop pretending we can reclaim it. But the other part of me thinks, maybe we should try and reclaim the flags. But no, Tim's making a good point.
All of this took me back to about 8 years ago, when the Scottish nationalists were at their height, when as a family, we were on holiday on the beautiful Hebridean island of Islay, home of the world's best single malt whiskey, and home, originally at least, to a certain Alistair Carmichael. Now, when we were there, we went for lunch with Alistair and his mum and dad and his mum and dad's family.
Okay.
At one point, over lunch, Alistair's mum seemed lost in thought. She looked across the moor where the Scottish saltire was flying on a neighbour's land. She sighed and she shook her head. And she said, "That's what I hate them most. They've stolen our flag. They've stolen our flag." Now, she's sadly passed away since, but Alistair's lovely mum struck such a chord with me that day and still today, because that's exactly how I feel too as an Englishman. How dare the nationalists?
It's quite interesting how you don't really hear it in other nations that make up the United Kingdom. I often do think, why is the St. George's flag, the England flag, singled out as being this offensive flag that has racist connotations, but you don't see it from, at least from my very remote, abject English viewpoint, you don't see it with the Welsh flag, the Scottish flag, maybe Northern Ireland. I don't know. Maybe is it? For obvious reasons, I'm sure there's controversies about the Northern Irish flag, but you don't hear for the Scottish or the Welsh. And so to actually hear that story, it's made me a little bit more reflective. I didn't know. It's interesting to hear that story, but yeah, I think I think there's a point there. We like that example. We should take shame of people who have hijacked our St. George's flag. But the thing for me, when it comes to the whole flag debate, I really don't care. I'm not that passionate about it. For me, it's dog whistle politics. It's just a cloth on a stick, guys. It's just a piece of cloth on a stick. There's more pressing and important issues than the flag debate. I hate that it's been associated with English white nationalism, but I really don't care. And I think the more you try and give a crap about it, the more attention you're just giving to the side that wants to do damage. You know, I want to move beyond a world, a community, beyond just borders and flags. And but no, that's just, you know, it's just a piece of cloth on a stick, guys. I'm not arsed. But yeah.
Steal our flags. How dare they steal what it is to be British, English, Scottish, Welsh, Northern Irish, Cornish? How dare they? How dare they?
How dare you?
So I am here to tell you.
How dare you?
I am here to tell you that I am a patriot. I am not ashamed to be a patriot. I am not squeamish about my patriotism. I will not qualify my patriotism. I am a proud patriot. And I'm not the only one. So I am a proud patriot. I'm a proud patriot, but I am no nationalist. I am no nationalist. And you can tell the difference. You see, patriots love their country. Nationalists hate their neighbours. I love my country. I love the fact. I absolutely love the fact that in 927 AD, England was formed, and it was formed in Westmoreland at Emont, where Athelstan was acknowledged as the first king of the United Kingdom of England. It was a one-horse race. Eldred of Bamborough couldn't win here. So yes, in Westmoreland, we're proud we gave birth to England, an England that has changed generation by generation, but has nevertheless remained England.
Oh, I
England
think I've spoiled myself.
Over centuries, the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution.
I spoiled myself there. I wanted to know, I was looking at the timeline. I wanted to know at what point did the Union, I saw the Union Jack. I thought maybe it would be because we do have a party anthem that it's sang at conference. I think it's sang at closing of conference or near it. A bit like Labour's The Red Flag song, Ours is the Land. So it was originally a poem, a song, a hymn, long before, our party adopted it, but we've just adopted it as like our official political party anthem. I was just wondering, maybe they will. Maybe
modern
they will.
democracy standing against tyrants, a sanctuary for those fleeing from tyrants, rooted in value. Be proud of your flag. Be proud of your country. The British flag and the flags of our four nations, they are ours. They belong to all of us. Let's take them back. Let's wave them with pride. Thank you. There we are. That's more like it.
Oh, they're playing.
Right, here we go.
I don't know what's going on with the sound. Was that Tim? Was that the sound mixer? It's a bit everywhere. I'm sure if I was at conference, it'll be a lot more fun and exciting. And this is like Lib Dem's kit. I'm sure if I was watching it on, I don't know, BBC. I don't know if BBC Parliament is showing the full Lib Dem conference. I know they've done for Reform back to back. I think some media outlets did it back to back for Reform. I'd be curious to know if they did it for the same for the Greens, us, Labour, etc., etc. But that is a very interesting image. That is a very interesting image to actually pause on, because I've mentioned before we do seem to be there seems to be manoeuvres to have a working strategy to come across as smiley liberal Tories, if you want to be a little bit cynical. But that's a very interesting image to stand on, because if people know the history of the Tory party, they would end their conference. So they're talking about party anthems again. They would end their conference with their party anthem, which is Land of Hope and Glory. And there's a famous Labour Party election broadcast where they attack. It's an attack ad on the Conservatives, and they show archive footage of the Conservative Party's conference, and you see him like with the little flags waving and doing all that. That is such an interesting visual metaphor about where I think our party is trying to edge its bets on and lean on. Yeah. Not gonna lie, I wish I was there. Ian, this feels very Eurovision. It feels very Eurovision, this does, like very, especially probably the
well, after last year's Glee Club, I didn't think they'd let me have a microphone again. Conference, it's my job to take you and think back to February when we all watched Donald Trump in horror with J.D. Vance, who bullied President Zelensky at the White House live on TV. It was disgraceful. Over Trump's shoulder in the Oval Office, there was a bust of Winston Churchill. Can you imagine what he would have said if he had to watch the American president ignore his allies in...
So, is this the third speech now where the Lib Dems, the Lib Dem, so all the speakers have been MPs. So we've had 4 now. We had someone introduce the floor, but it really got going with the next 3. Well, this being the third. They've all mentioned Donald Trump in every one.
Europe and roll out the red carpet for Putin. I am very proud that our...
I mean, I don't disagree. And I think there's a lot of intellectual arguments about what's the best strategy for Trump because, he likes the strong man. He likes the strong man, strong people. And are we better off, but it's a balancing act because, they are a trading partner. They've traditionally been our allies. But yeah. Anyway, I'm going to do about 10 more minutes and then I think I will retire.
The party is internationalist.
But this rally, Matthew, I think me and you have two different definitions on a rally. But there we go.
The Liberal Democrats believe we need to stand together with Ukraine and our European allies and work more closely with our joint defence. But that is why we've been leading the charge in standing up for Ukraine, calling for frozen Russian assets, calling for frozen Russian assets to be seized and sent
my social media feeds, both personal and
for extending the visas of Ukrainians who have sought refuge in the UK.
Yeah, good point.
And to slash Putin's oil and gas profits, which our funding is barbarism. If we don't strengthen our ties with our allies in Europe, then Putin will exactly do what he wants. He'll claim democracies are weak. He'll carve up Ukraine and then he'll look around for his next victim. We've seen the death and destruction he's caused in Ukraine, and we don't trust his word. And I know the British people agree with us. Now, if you have ever campaigned in North Devon, you will have met a fantastic Lib Dem campaigner and councillor called Ellen Walker. For the past 3 years, she's hosted a Ukrainian family. A mother called Maria and her young daughter called Mila.
So I just thought I would give it. So I was looking on my X account, and so Matthew Holbert is at conference, and I didn't need to prompt him. I was going to ask him about the flags, but he didn't. I didn't have to. But yeah, he basically said he had no idea whose idea was to be handing out flags, and like. It kind of confirms what are my own feelings of patriotism, because I think Britain isn't loud. We're not like America. We don't do big and loud, brashy, in-your-face patriotism. We're very reserved. It's very quiet. It's very dignified. And to be honest, whenever I see, it's a bit like the national anthem. Like, we only tend to hear the national anthem. It's not drilled in a head at school or assembly. It's not done every morning at your workplace. When you hear the national anthem, like the last time I heard the national anthem quite unprovoked, provoked, I should say, it was when the Queen had died, and I saw the news had come on. My normal broadcast day had stopped. And then the national anthem played after the news that I can't say his name. The news, I could say his name, but I don't want to. But that the news anchor finished off giving the obituary of her late Majesty, and that felt very special to me. That felt really special hearing. That felt special to me hearing the national anthem play. So it is understated. I do agree, and it just, I think if we're going to try and, I think we need to try and distance ourselves with reforms tactics, and sort of challenge it, really. Even if it might, yeah.
Alan is like tens of thousands of British people up and down the country who offered their homes to Ukrainians evacuated from danger and welcomed them into our communities. People across Britain doing their bit to stand up to a ruthless dictator. Mila is now 7 years old. She goes to school here and speaks fluent English.
Because next on stage,
leaseholders returned 130 grand at
Europe and roll out the red carpet. If you could all put your hands together to welcome Jess Brown-Fuller to the stage.
Right, so I'm going to end it here because it just seems like it's a lot of speeches from our members of parliament, which are important, but yeah, I just thought it ended there because I am a bit mindful of time, and I've noticed my audience members has dropped a little bit, so I just thought that might be a good time to end it. And plus, I probably need a little bit of a rest from I'm a bit Lib Dem out, guys. So, but anyway, so. Thank you all again for those who were watching. Thank you for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. And yes, I hope tomorrow I will, with less technical glitches and difficulties, I hope to do it again tomorrow. And maybe if I can if I can find get Matthew to get a free window, I could probably have a little catch up with him, maybe from the comfort of his hotel room. Who knows? Anyway, so thanks everyone for tuning in. Hope you all have a lovely morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And until then, take care. So long.